Hi folks, Dave with dbstechtalk. Today we're going to talk about the Echobox Nomad N1s. The Echobox Nomad N1s have a very unique sound signature to them for being a single dynamic. And they have what's called PEEK dynamic driver, which is let me look at it here on the box, a polyether ether ketone. Polyether ether ketone a driver. And I find that it's a very subtle V shape tuning to these. And it's not a drastic V, it's more of a squeezed in V, I guess you could say. The mids are just a little bit recessed, a little bit more recessed to the bass than they are to the treble. So I guess if you wanted to, there you go. So anyways, really enjoyed these. Let's get to the sound first, and then we'll go over all of the rest, fit, finish, and show you the look of them. Bass. Depending on which tip you use, the bass can be very thumpy and extremely fun, or it can be more detailed and clear. So if you use foam tips, it'll have a more full sound, a more thumpy sound, and more engaging sound signature. If you use silicone tips, it'll be a little bit more on the sub bass emphasized, and the mid bass and upper bass will actually sound just a little bit less more of an impact than with the foam tips on. Both have very good clarity and very good detail. I never had them get distorted, and I never had the bass not impress me with either tip. I found them to be very, very pleasant. I really enjoy the bass on these, and it has a very nice tone and just an overall engaging signature to it when it comes to the bass. With the foams, you will bleed a little bit into the mids. You do not get that with the silicone tip. Mids, as I said, with foams, you get a little bit of bleed, you get a little bit of warmer tone to it, and you get a little bit more body and a little bit more fullness to it. So it actually brings in that recess just a little bit. And you get nice and natural tones to it, and the signature of them becomes very natural sounding. With the silicones, you do not get quite as much full bodiness to it, but it adds in a little bit of air and a little bit more of isolation and separation of instruments. And it still has a natural tone to it, but male vocals will struggle a little bit more with silicones than they do with the foam tip. The upper mids also can get a little bit grainy with the silicone tips, just a little bit every now and then. If you have a bad recording, it'll really show it off. Female vocals are very nicely done on both either foam tip or silicone tip. Treble on these is what you would call bright. It is a brighter headphone. It has a more prominent treble within the whole signature overall. And if you are treble sensitive, these probably won't be for you. They are very accentuated in the treble. It can be controlled with foam tips a little bit. It'll tame it down just a little bit, but you lose some of the air and some of the energy with the foam tips, whereas with the treble or with the silicones, you get more airiness and more clarity and just an overall detailed presence about the treble. Extremely well extended. We'll sing with the greatest of them. These will compete with treble queens and with no problem, and treble kings to be fair. These are not sharp or sibilant or harsh in any way in the treble, though. It's very well controlled. It's just bright, and it is not aggressive. It's not shouty in any way. It's just bright. There's a difference. It just has this airiness about it, this aura about it that makes them very plentiful in the treble and very enjoyable for someone who likes treble like I do. It's very smooth, it's very engaging, very energetic, and only times that I really had any issues with it is on bad recordings or extremely treble prominent tracks. Soundstage. Soundstage on these is actually really wide. It has a very nice width to them. Where they struggle is in depth. They don't have a lot of depth in it, and it also struggles in imaging a little bit. It's not real precise, excuse me, or accurate in the soundstage. You'll know that it's over on the right hand side or in the left hand side or left center or right center, but you won't know that it's exactly right there. It's more, oh, I'm right in this neighborhood. So it's okay for gaming, but it's not the greatest in-ear for gaming if you do use that. The overall characteristics of it, though, really can be changed with the filter system. And it comes with the neutral balanced tips installed, and then it also has available the black ones for bass and the red for treble. I found that the red treble ones was too much. It just brought in the treble and it became aggressive, and it was just shouty and way too bright for my take, for my liking. The bass ones made things a little warmer and a little more thicker in the bass and warmed up the mids, but it also removed some of the airiness and details from the treble, and so I find it became a little too dark for my preference. So I stuck with the neutral balance. I just found that had a good balance between the bass and the treble, and a nice job with the mids. So all of my sound notes from before were done with the neutral balanced silver filter and also with silicone tips. Let's take a look at what you get inside the box and what the in-ears themselves look at. What are you doing? Come on. Thank you. Alright, so the Echobox Nomad N1s. They come in a very nice box. Typical slider style. But it has all kinds of pictures and all kinds of writing on it, which is very nice. It says right here, I don't know if you can see that on camera, designed for music, built for life. Has a titanium housing, 9.2 millimeter peak dynamic driver, frequency range of 5 Hz to 60 kilohertz, sensitivity SPL of 96 dB, and it has 22 ohms of impedance. Let's take a closer look. So when you slide it off, oh, one other thing, it has a high res sticker on it, so it's got to be good, right? Excuse me. So when you open up the box, it says Echobox right there. Nothing else on the backhand side here. Just slides off real easily. On the inside, you get a bunch of paperwork. You get a Snugs and Echobox little advert. And these are custom ear tips. Might have to take a look at those sometime. Next, you get a basically a maintenance little pamphlet. Tells you about how to do safety and how to clean your ear tips and how to get them to fit and insert properly. Comes in very handy if you've never used any in-ears before. Also, you get a warranty card, and you get a Love It, Share It card. Gives you some information regarding Echobox, their Instagram account, Facebook, and Twitter addresses, and also their email. So if you want to contact them, they give you plenty of ways of doing that. Here is the inside of the box. You have your IEMs up top, and you have this little flap which shows off your carrying case. On the carrying case itself, you have a little bit of Echobox branding on the pull, and you have titanium earphones listed there, and then you have the Echobox logo. It's very well shaped like an egg, opens up very nicely. And on the inside here you have a little pocket that you can put your in-ears. Also you have a bag with some comply tips and some extra silicone tips, and you also get, here's your tips. These are Daconis. I did try the complies. I did not care for them, so I used Daconis instead. And then you also get right here the little tray that holds all your extra tips and filters, which just pops right out. Comes in handy. It makes it nice so if you do want to remove one of these very small filters, you just kind of push it through the rubber. As you can see, they're extremely small. Put it on my pinky. Whoops. Put it on my pinky there, and as you can see, it's a very small filter. Very easy to lose, so this little tray helps to keep everything in place. And as you can see, you get biflange, triflange, singles, narrow bore and wide bore. You get all kinds of tips. They definitely make sure that you will have plenty of choices to get the right fit. And then here are your in-ears themselves. And it just sits right here. It says Nomad up top, and then it says featuring comply tips. And then underneath is your cable. The cable is okay. I'm alright with it. It is a 4-pole, and then you have metal casing here with a little bit of branding, and then a nice strain relief. This rubberized feel for the silver wires on the inside. You get a decent split with a slider, and then it goes up into preforms with your MMCXs. The preforms, the cables themselves have a little bit where the strain relief is of a curve. And then on the right hand cable you do have your remote. It's 3-button: play, pause, volume up and down, fast forward, rewind, next track. And on the back it'll say, it's really hard to see on camera, but it'll say A for Android, I for iOS. You can get this in Android or iOS. I wish that they made a cable that didn't have a remote. Overall, the cable's okay. It does tend to get into tangles if you have it wound up for long periods of time. It takes a little bit to untangle, so it can be a little bit on the frustrating side when it comes to that. The in-ears themselves are extremely small. There's your MMCX connector. Right underneath that is a marking that'll say L and R right there. And it has a little bit of a rigidness to it, a feel to it, which helps with fingerprints. It says Echobox in the middle. It's extremely hard to get the camera to focus on. Very faint writing. And then you have your tip. These are the silicone stocks. And there's the tip. It has a somewhat small stem. It's not extremely tall or big. And then a little bit of a lip where the filter goes on. Filter just spins off. And there it is without. Tips go on extremely easy. Same thing with the left side. Your cables, as I said, are extremely easy to tell which one goes on which, because if you just find your remote, that's the right side, and then they just snap right in, and it goes into a seamless look. You can't even really tell that there's a removable cable on it. Unless you really stare at it, you can see the line where they connect. But it's a very small, minimalist look to these in-ears. There's the left, and there's the right. And they just work. I really like these in-ears a lot. They fit extremely well in the ears. They're extremely comfortable, very small. That little bit of rubber on the backside here really helps protect the ears from feeling the metal titanium portion. If you lift up on that, that actually is removable. That rubber part, you can see that the whole housing is titanium underneath, so it's just a real rubber covering. And I find that these are very pleasing to look at, and as I said, very small, and the fit is very well for my ears, and maybe different for yours, but I find them to go in and be able to be worn for hours on end. As I said, I wouldn't have a problem with them in my office for 8 hours at a time. So overall, I find that the Echobox Nomad N1s are extremely comfortable, very portable, easy to power, and have a very pleasing, just pleasant, natural sound to them. May not be for everybody due to the brighter signature that they have in the treble, but you can control that a little differently with the different filters. And so I do recommend these to certain people. If you are a bass head, but you like a lot of details and clarity in the treble, but you like a nice thumping bass also, you can do that with these, with the bass filter and some foam tips, and I think that you would be pleasantly surprised with them. If you are a treble head and you love treble and you love clarity and details in your treble and just a great airiness about it, then yes, you can do that with these. You can put the red filter in or the neutral filter in. You get plenty of treble. Who I do not recommend these for is someone who is treble sensitive or who just likes a thumpy, warm bass, dark sound. You probably wouldn't be very happy with these. They probably would disappoint. Or if you are a very much a vocal forward type of person, these don't really have that either. These are somewhat of a V shape. I find that they are very easy to power. On my phone, my OnePlus 6T, didn't have any problems with it using all the various dongles that I have. The OnePlus 6T dongle did happen to bring out a little bit more of the treble side of things, whereas the Razer DAC amp tamed the treble just a little bit, gave a little bit of a warmer texture to it. And then the Advanced Sound Access Port Lite really brought in the bass, and the mids came forward a little bit more, but the treble was a little bit on the darker side of things. You lost a little bit of the treble details in the airiness sound. I found that using it on the Pioneer XTP30R was very nice. Had to turn down the gain I had to put it on normal gain. If you use it on high gain, they became treble and a little shouty and sharp. But if you put it on normal gain, they were just fine and worked extremely well. Had a very natural and even sound across the board with that slight recess in the mids. And the Hi-Fi Min Mega Mini added a nice warmth to them, and they were just very fun sounding out of the Hi-Fi Min Mega Mini. Did not use them on any desktop setups. These are more portable in-ears, and I found that they played extremely well with portable gear, and so I didn't really try them on desktops. This has been Dave with DBS Tech Talk. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen is going to be a subscription link. If you haven't already, please check that off. And don't forget the notification bell down below so you'll know when the next video is uploaded. And if you really enjoy this channel and would like to support it, or you have some questions or want to send in gear, check out the links down below. Thank you, and have yourself a great day.